here. Just due to the coronavirus outbreak and ending all face-to-face interactions, I've decided that the final training we were meant to do on the 27th of March, I created the PowerPoint for it. I still think it's some good stuff that we can get across. So if you bear with me and try and get through this, I'm going to attempt to deliver this training virtually. So I'll be narrating through the whole slides. There'll be some things that we can follow up on. There'll be some things that I might just skip over and gloss over, but just really going to try and get this done and try and still get these final points across to you, because I really wanted to use this as a time to celebrate the year that we've had together and to get some final things across to you. So first thing we want to say is from all the staff and the board, just a big massive thank you. You have been fantastic this year. This has been in about a week's time. I think that's me celebrating my year at MIN, and it's been a whirlwind. It's been amazing. You have been fantastic to work with. I say it a lot that you've made my first couple of months here so easy, and I think that's just how it's continued. I've loved my time here so far. I'm excited to see what 2021 and the rest of 2020 brings us. I know that we can get through this coronavirus outbreak, and we're looking at different ways that we can engage you further while we don't have physical services. So keep an eye out for that. But massive thank you to everybody across the groups, across the one-off event, the partnership working that we've done, the schools working has been fantastic. So these were the original aims of the session, some things we were going to be talking about and focusing on. The main thing we wanted to do with this is have a chat about the new mission, vision and values of MIN that we've created, sort of allow you to understand the process of what that was like coming up with them, how they'll impact the work we do, give some more information about the volunteer committee, a little update about expenses, and then have shared ideas for any training you have for next year. And I'll share some of the ones that I've come up with as well. We might not cover all of these in the same detail that I wanted to originally. We might cover all of them, but remember, you can pause at any point, you can rewind, you can replay, and we'll have a lot of follow-up discussions about this. So let's get going. So one thing that I wanted to kind of start the day thinking about was chatting to somebody in the room about a value that you have, just to get us thinking about what values mean to us and something that we think is really important to you as a person. So like honesty, sense of humour, generosity, kindness. I think for me, a value that's really important is honesty. I think being honest with yourself is really important, being honest with other people. I think honesty is the most important thing to me. So just as you are yourself watching this, have a think about a value that's really important to you as a person, and think about why it's really important to you, and think about what that means for how you make friendships, how you conduct yourself, how you interact with your community. Just have a think about that. And that's one of the things that we're going to follow up with after, when we do a little follow-up thing about the vision and the values. So yeah, just take 10, 15, 20 seconds to have a think about that. Okay, and we'll move on, and as I said, we're going to follow up about all of these discussions afterward. So, getting into the meat of the presentation. So a mission of a charity is a formal summary of the aims and values of a company, organisation or individual. What does that mean though? A formal summary of the aims and values of a company, organisation or individual. So think about if you were to have a mission statement for yourself, What would that mean? What would summarise your aims and values? Have a think about that, and then we're going to get into what MINS is. So MINS mission from our new strategic plan has been developed. Rose has been working really hard on this over the last year to look at sort of formalising some of the things that we do, formalising what we stand for, and making sure that it reflects the work that we do, and also in reverse that the work that we do reflects that. So MIN's mission is to develop a unique and creative environment in which communities can come together to share experiences and demonstrate the value of cultural diversity in Scotland. So you can see there's a couple of things that I've underlined in this slide. So unique, creative, come together, share experiences, and value of cultural diversity in Scotland. So MIN, I feel, is a unique organisation. I think we have a unique environment of how we work, the sort of influences that go on, where we stand, where we are, the makeup of the staff and the board, and the volunteers and the service users. I think it makes it a really unique place to sort of tackle some of the social issues in the community, to tackle isolation, to really work on that integrated experience that MIN's all about. A lot of the stuff, as you know, that we do is creative. So examples of that at the moment are the writing things that Oasis Group have been doing, the comic books that Men's Group worked on, the choir is very creative, the dance project, some of the stuff that PNR does with different groups and with the schools work has all been really creative. And I think it's that unique and creative environment that we're really working on to bring communities together. So to bring together the refugee and asylum seeking community that come and settle in Glasgow, and to also include the host community, so the Glaswegians, which many of you are. Many of you come from both of those communities, and we share experiences, and we really value that diversity in our work and across Scotland. And I think that's a big thing that the mission really wants to underpin all of our work, and that shared diversity and shared experience to bring communities together. So the vision statement. A vision statement is a declaration of an organisation's objectives intended to guide its internal decision making. A vision statement is not limited to business organisations and may also be used by non-profits or government entities. So MIN's vision is for an inclusive society where everyone is treated with dignity and respect and can live supported and connected lives. So again, I've underlined a couple of things here which I thought were quite interesting. An inclusive society. So as we said in the previous slide, we're all about integration. We're all about really bringing together that diverse community so that everybody can have a space. And I think a big thing that I've learned from my first year at MIN is that a lot of service users, staff, volunteers, a lot of the partners that we work with feel that MIN is like a home. And I think that's because of the inclusive and diverse community that we've created. So where everyone is treated with dignity and respect. So have a think right now what dignity and respect mean to you. Are they two words that come to mind when you think of MIN? I really hope they are. They are for me. I think that we conduct ourselves with dignity. We are respectful to different cultural experiences and different cultural understandings. And we respect each other and we respect human life. And I think that's the big thing that comes across from MIN for me. And we're trying to create this society where people can live supported and connected lives. I think that really speaks for itself. And I think through the work that MIN does, I hope that people feel like they're supported and connected. And I just want to say a big thank you to the volunteers for creating that environment. You are the ones that support us to support people. You're at Family Nest supporting people, you're at ESOL classes, you're at Women's Group, you're at the choir, you're at a Men's Group, MIN Voices, really just creating that multi-pronged approach of support. that connects people with each other. I know we've got a lot of volunteers that have been volunteers for over a decade, for years, who feel connected to a lot more people with diverse experiences that you wouldn't have before. And then these newly settled Scots that come from around the world feel supported and connected when they arrive in Maryhill, arrive at MIN, and they know that they're coming to a family. And I think that's really what the vision stands for. So the values. The value statement is a word, phrase, or sentence that conveys the core values of your company to your customers, employees, and/or the world at large. So the value statement is really what the public see, is what our different stakeholders see, the partners, is what we as employees and you as volunteers, what we understand. And then when we go out to funders and go out to different partners and go out to schools and outreach work that we want to do, it's our values that people really look at, and it's our values that people really judge us by. So throughout all the consultation that we're going to move on to in a little second, there were 6 values that really stood out for the staff, for the board, for the volunteers, and for Rose as she was creating it. The first one is welcoming. So we want to create an environment where everyone feels welcomed, and where you can feel safe, forge friendships, and make social and supportive connections across the community, helping to rebuild lives and create a neutral, welcoming place for all. Respect. We believe in universal human rights and treat everybody on an individual basis with dignity, and we strive for acceptance without judgment. We understand that negative impacts of inequality and social exclusion in our society, and aim to reduce the barriers to equality and make Scotland a fairer place. Number 4, we support participation in the development of our services with the aim to reflect the diversity of all involved. Number 5, we promote awareness of rights and entitlement, supporting ambitions to live autonomously, providing access to advice, support, personal development opportunities, and a collective voice within the community. And number 6, going back to that creativity, we celebrate the use of arts and culture as a means of expression, challenging stereotypes and negative media coverage in order to create authentic narratives which value contributions made by all in our community. So they're the 6 values of MIN. I think they really reflect the work that we do, and we're going to go on to talk a little bit about how they were created and what that impact might be on the work that we do. The values are what the funders will look at, what our prospective partners will look at, and what we as staff and volunteers will really make sure that we bring to all of the engagement work that we do in the future. So the impact on our work, as these were created by consultation with different groups of stakeholders, so yourself, members of staff, the board, partners, they shouldn't change the nature of our work so much, but it'll give us a clearer direction and strategic direction of where we're going, and allow us to ask ourselves why we're doing something. There'll be a great thing to show new funders and partners who may want to work with us. So it will really just sort of clarify a lot of the work that we do and make sure, kind of allow us to ask ourselves that question of why we're doing something. Make sure that it fits into either the vision, the mission, or the values. That's really what it's going to bring to us. It shouldn't have a big impact on your day-to-day, but we might just be thinking a little bit more about why we're doing something and how we can do it to really make an impact on those values and really promote the values that we want to stand for. So this was going to be a point where you could ask any questions about any of this. Now, through the medium of video, we can't do that exactly, but if you have any questions, note them down, drop them in an email, pick them up with me the next time you see me. I really want to have some good follow-up conversations about everything that's been said so far. I want to thank all of you for being involved in the consultation about the strategic plan that's been created, and look forward to seeing that when it is an actual physical copy. And when it is there, we'll go through it and really understand what that means for us, and we can make sure that we know how we're representing MIN and we know that we're doing it well. So the 2019-2020 highlights, as I said, this has been my first year at Min. I can't believe I've already been here a year. It's gone amazingly quick. It's been a really busy year for Min and especially for you volunteers. And what I wanted to do was to sort of reflect on the year that we've had, use this as sort of a evaluation reflection time. But because we can't do this face to face, we're going to have a chance to reflect on our progress through the surveys that will be coming out shortly and through some like follow-up conversations we'll have when we're all back to face-to-face stuff. But just know how appreciated you are. Some of my highlights have been seeing how the garden group has grown. It's amazing that we've gone to having a waiting list for the garden club and to really growing that engagement on a Tuesday. And the group that go there, you're all fantastic. I think back to my first week where um, it was just after the kilt walk had happened. It was just in the middle of the boat building, and all of those things were just really a good example of how Min comes together and things. I think of the events that we've done, the Refugee Festival in June, the a lot of the celebrations that we've had at Min, the Celtic Connections, people that come along every week to come to groups, folk that have came in and done admin stuff. The board has grown, the board has changed. I just want to say a massive thank you, and I'm so looking forward to what 2020 and 2021 have to bring us. So what we were next going to talk about is the volunteer committee idea that I've had. So we were wanting to start that in April. It's now looking unlikely that it will get launched then. But we're looking for 3 or 4 volunteers who are happy to meet maybe once a quarter or twice a year or something. To just can I help me to understand the volunteer experience at Min and to be advocates and representatives for the volunteer group at Min. So Mary from the board has volunteered to be the link between us and the board for now. So we'll talk about how we can improve the volunteer experience. First task will be to sort of help me understand what the evaluations mean. So that'll be after the surveys have been in and I've sort of looked through them and done a first evaluation of them. Then I want to give that back to you and be like, what does this mean to you? What does the fact that X amount of people have said that they grew in confidence through this, but some haven't, what can we do to sort of improve that engagement? The next task could be to plan, deliver, coordinate training or events, and it's really just whatever you want it to be. It's a way to promote your voice within Min, and as we've just launched a new strategy, it's a good time to be promoting it as many different voices as possible. So if you want to find out a little bit more about the volunteer committee, I'm going to do another short video about it, just to send out in the next couple of weeks. That will just be some specific things that we're looking for, some specific tasks that we can do, and how to get involved. So I really hope that some of you want to be involved in this, and I'm excited to see how we can move it forward. So this is just a more organisational thing. Going into the new financial year, we're moving towards a new expenses policy, meaning that we're now asking for proof of travel. If you live in walking distance and don't get a bus to come here, then we won't be able to give you expenses anymore. As our volunteer numbers are growing, so do the demand on our expenses budget. The cost of travel is going up and we're wanting to save resources for those who most need or who are in most need at Min to get them. It's something that we really talked about as a staff team as to how we can handle this, and we think that this, for the time being, is the best process. We're going to look at possibly doing a way where we can kind of pay you in advance for travel expenses for coming, but we're looking just now at when you arrive, if you show us proof of a bus ticket, we'll give you your £4.70. We really ask that people that are in walking distance or don't get a bus to travel, that you don't ask for travel expenses. We'll be talking more about this in your specific groups and what this means for the specific groups. But if you have any questions or worries or issues about this, please just get in touch with me and I'll be happy to try and answer any of them. So we're on the last slide. Some of the training ideas that I had for 2020 and 2021, now that I've got my head around the sort of group that we have and the people that come along to trainings, and if this works, doing this online, I might try to do this a bit more, because I know that me working Fridays and some people not being available on Friday means that some people have missed out on training. So I'm going to try and do this a little bit more. But some of the things that I had in mind was like a hate crime awareness training, first aid. So I linked to the first one, how to spot and tackle racism, but in a way that's being not patronising and being like a good ally. Stress awareness training, trauma informed practice training, sort of looking at sensitivity and sort of making sure that the people that we work with are being treated as people first and not their experience. Sort of looking at self-care and mental health tips, having a session about the volunteer committee. Really, this year I want to celebrate Volunteers Week. So that's the first week in June, and that'll be something that the volunteer committee can help me with. Looking at sort of isolation in the community, and I think that's a really prevalent one at the moment. So sort of looking at how we as volunteers can maybe be a little bit more inclusive, can look at how we use our roles, look at digital volunteering within MIN, and this is where I want you to come in. So any ideas that you have for anything that you think you need to work better at MIN in training wise, let me know, send me an email, drop me a line, and I'll either design the training myself, or we can look externally to how we can build our training remit and bringing in external trainers. I hope this has worked. I hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope you've got something out of it. I'd really love feedback on this, doing the video training, because if it's something that works, as I said, I'll try and do it a little bit more. I think it's worked quite well. I've quite enjoyed doing it. I think I've got across everything that I wanted to, but if there's anything that people want that a little bit more information on, or that want me to go over a little bit more, just let me know. Thank you so much, volunteers. We will be in touch about everything happening across this sort of closure of MIN for the foreseeable, but any updates we get, any information we get, we will send them to you. Thank you so much. You're all awesome, and take care of yourself and be in touch about anything. Thank you.